Welcome back to another episode of Trading Secrets, where we are joined by entrepreneur, fitness instructor, and social media influencer by the name of Morgan Willet. After graduating from UT Austin with a degree in journalism and deciding that the corporate world was not for her, she moved to Texas. Then from Texas to California, where she began her career in reality TV. You might have seen her on Big Brother Over the Top, where she won. We're going to get into that. MTV's X on the Beach and The Challenge. She now has her own fitness business called Move Like Morgan and a blog through which she inspires people in her strong community to live healthier, more fulfilling lives. So we're going to talk all about the transition from undergrad to reality TV, all the different shows, the compensation, where the money's at, and what Morgan's life has looked like. Morgan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Jason, you can follow me around wherever I go and introduce me because that was fantastic. So the next time I go on a date, I'm going to invite you and you're going to introduce me.
You guys go on the date, and before you show up or right as you guys sit down, I'll sit down. This is Morgan Willet. Let me tell you all about it. Like 2 minutes in, out the door. And then like, you'll just pump your tires and you'll be feeling like $1 million.
Exactly. That's all I want. Thank you.
And I know you said before we get going, you're not feeling like $1 million today because you're just at Stagecoach partying a little too.
Yes. So to those listening, I don't normally sound like this. I normally have a functioning voice. I was at Stagecoach all weekend. I drank a lot. I didn't drink a lot of water. I'm just full transparency, but I'm here. I feel great. It's just my voice isn't here, but it's okay. As long as you guys can understand me, we're good to go.
I love that. Now I have to ask one follow-up question as it relates to Stagecoach. Okay. And this is a Business Money podcast. Was there any, because listen, we see it. Everyone's at Coachella. Everyone's at Stagecoach. And I'm wondering, I know a lot of people go because there's business ties, either through networking or they're paid through some type of partnership or something to do some type of brand activation while they're there. Did you have any type of business incentive to go, or was it strictly just for fun and to let loose?
So I will say I did one brand deal at Stagecoach, full transparency, but I did tell my manager, I was like, look, I have one. I'll do one and then I'm going to enjoy myself, because at Coachella, I think I did like 4 a day. It was booked. I had a spreadsheet. I had times. I had my assistant texting me when things needed to be posted, by what time I had to submit it. And it was just chaos. Like I didn't really get to enjoy myself because I was going to so many different things and I constantly had to be on and I was constantly posting. So I did say, Stagecoach, I'll do my one post for like Boot Barn. It was a great time. I took the photo. There's a whole story behind that. And then I put my phone up for the most part and enjoyed myself.
Okay, I got to ask one more follow-up because that is wild. I'm hearing that and I'm like, whoa, 4 a day. So are you doing 4 different like stories for different brands, or are you doing like, you're actually like going to their getting paid for an appearance? Like, what does that look like 4 a day? I've never even heard of that.
So for Coachella, it was wild. So I'm sure you heard about Revolve Fest.
Of course.
That whole thing. Everyone heard about Revolve Fest. I did not have a bad experience. So like, I can't say too much, but I did hear about the craziness. Yeah. So with Revolve, you had to do X amount of posts. So I was already doing that. I already had to appear for that. Then I did a deal with Absolute. So I had to do a post and a story for them. And that required me to go actually to the Absolute tent. So I had to make that appearance. Then I was doing an appearance for DirecTV. So after the festival, we went to Neon Carnival. Then I had to do posts and stories there. And then I think I had a couple other brands that had already been working with before Coachella that I had to post during there. So it was just chaos. I'm also like the type A queen. So like I live by a Google sheet, and like I posted it on my story and people were like, you're a psychopath. And I'm like, it's the only way that I can function is by like checking off things and color coordinating and all of this stuff. So I mean, whatever works, like I managed to get it all done. But after that, I was like, I need a social media break, which like doesn't really exist for me. I think I took like 5 minutes off from my phone and then I was like back to posting, but was chaos.
I love it. And that's one of the big misconceptions, I think, of Stagecoach and Coachella, is that people are like, oh, it's just influencers getting together and just raging the whole time. When really there's so much business behind it. And there's so much reason why people go. Like, people are getting paid to go, and then they're doing the collaborations, which are going to have a greater reach than obviously just the location they're in. Give me if you're comfortable, a roundabout for either Coachella or Stagecoach. You can decide. How much around $5,000, around $10,000, how much do you make off those brand deals at one of the events?
So I think for Coachella, I ended up making around like 12.
Okay. It's
So like a
amazing.
pretty good, because I wasn't going to go to Coachella.
Yeah.
I was like, no, not for me. All my friends were going, and I was like, I'm gonna rest up. I'm gonna get ready for Stagecoach. And then I got presented with all the deals. And it's like, look, like you're not gonna turn down money. Like I think anyone would be like, that's stupid to turn down that big of a payout. So I like did a mad dash. I ordered all my outfits like 24 hours in advance. We got like the shittiest hotel room because it was the only one left. I think I paid $700 for a double bed in like
Wow.
the worst hotel room possible. And I was like, I just need to get down to Coachella. I got to do my job and then I'm going to get out.
It's so wild too, because if you think about like even like a P&L for an influencer, like you are writing off a hotel room at Stagecoach against your revenue and you're doing something like that. Like how cool is that? And not only are you getting paid the 12K to go to Coachella, but you're also you're building all these new networks, right? Maybe your manager's there. Maybe there's another brand that sees you. Maybe another deal comes from it or you collab with someone. So it's a wild world. And I know from the outside, it looks a lot different than what it is from a business perspective coming from someone that's there and doing it. So thank you for sharing that. I think that's going to open up a lot of like insight to what people stereotype or think about when they see Coachella Stagecoach. But let's back up a few steps because that wasn't even on the script, but we just went into it. But what
Hey.
was on the script is that you went to UT Austin, right?
Yes.
And is it true what I was reading about you is that you decided to go right into, you moved to LA, you go into reality TV before even entering the corporate world. And one of the things I think you've said is that you had known that the corporate world wasn't for you. So I wanted to ask you, how did you realize it? Like for me, it took me 10 years to be like, of corporate grinding to just be like, I need to change. For you, how did you know, like, right? I mean, guys, by the way, UT Austin, incredible school, very, very hard school to get into. So we're not talking about some throwaway school, right? Like what made you say, nope, I'm going to go into TV and take a shot at that and not even try the corporate world?
Okay, so there is a little bit of a backstory behind that. So I was in the corporate world for 2 weeks, a total of 14 days. Okay?
I missed that in the research. 14 days.
I don't normally talk about that, but so I graduated, not to toot my own horn, with highest honors.
Let's go. Here we go.
She is smart. She got a good GPA. I mean, like as I was cheering and in a sorority and working full time, like I don't know how I did it. I must have drank an excessive amount of Red Bull, which I did.
As I'm drinking an Alani energy drink right now.
Oh God, I love those.
They're great.
Alani. I work with Alani. Use my discount code, Jason.
Another brand. There you go.
But anyway, so I graduated. My dad is like, he's the quintessential dad who was like, all right, so what's the next step? You got a job lined up? Graduation's today. Are you working tomorrow? I'm like, Dad, you're stressing me out. But like you feel the pressure to, as soon as you graduate, jump into a job. Like you don't want to be the person who's like twiddling their thumbs. Like, what am I going to do next? So my degree was in journalism. I did a few internships. I thought I was going to be like the next news anchor. I realized there's no money in that. Like, these people, the grind and going back to a small town, like I'm from small town, Texas. I was not about to move back to small town, Texas. So I figured I would take a job in PR, which is similar to journalism. And I got a job in Austin for a PR company and it was cool. Like they did music festivals. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
My first day there, I left during my lunch break and cried in my car. And I was just like, I can't do this. Like I was a PR.
What was it that made you break down first day?
So I think it was just the shock of like what the 9 to 5 is. Like I just was not aware. I wasn't used to it. Like I was wearing a pencil skirt. I sat in a desk for 6 hours and I answered phones all day long. That's all I did. I answered phones. I typed on a spreadsheet. I answered a phone. I typed on a spreadsheet. And I think I just had a wake up call and I was like, I know my personality. I know what I have to offer. Like I know I can do greater things. And I've always been pretty over the top. If you've looked at my Instagram, you can probably gather that. I've never been the girl to like blend in. Like I'm the girl in the room who's dancing on the bar. And I'm like, all right, I know I can do something with this. I know I'm not meant to be in a desk. So I came home from work every single day and I was crying. And of course, who do I cry to? My older sister. And finally, she's so sick of like listening to me. She saw on Twitter that they were casting for a show, Big Brother. She's a huge fan. I've never seen the show ever, didn't know what it was. I don't watch reality TV, but she sent it to me and she was like, look, I think this might be the answer to your problem. Why don't you just DM them? See what they say. What do you have to lose? You're miserable. So I literally DM'd the casting director, didn't do an application. I was so desperate at that point. I sent him a photo. I said, hey, I'm Morgan. I'm interested. Here's my info, blah, blah, blah. He DM'd me the next day and was like, let's set up a Zoom call. I was like, all right, here we go. And then from there, fast forward, I went through all the casting, like an expedited process. They were like, you need to be in LA next week for finals. And I'm like, I just started this new corporate job. Like I haven't accrued time off, like didn't even know that word existed. I'm like, what? I have to accrue hours to get time off? Like, what is this? So I went to my boss and I was like, hey, I'm quitting. And she was like, what? We just hired you. Like we just put you through training. She was like, are you going to give a 2 weeks notice? And I was like, no.
Oh, shit.
So definitely, I have burned that bridge so hard. I'm so sorry to my boss at Giant Noise PR in Austin, Texas, because I couldn't. And she was like, well, what are you doing? And with reality TV, like, as you know, like you kind of can't tell them anything.
Sure.
Like
you
it's
got all those NDAs and confidentiality agreements.
Like, you don't want to ruin your chances. So I was like, I kind of can't tell you, but like, I just got to go to LA for something. And like, I just remember like the look on her face. And actually my professor at UT, she was the one who helped me get the job.
Okay.
And I got a very not nice Facebook message from her. And I was like, I'm sorry. Like, I just had a gut feeling that this is what I was meant to do. Like I had a gut feeling this was going to open some doors for me. And like, when that comes, like you just have to take the chance and take the risk. My father was very disappointed in me. Very unhappy.
That's how, like, based on how you said your father is like, put like the quintessential father. I can imagine when you tell him after 2 weeks that you started in a great PR firm at home, UT Austin, you tell him you're going to LA for a freaking reality television show. He's probably like, you're out of your damn mind, and probably super mad. One thing I wanted to ask you, so because just to we like to give insight into salaries and stuff for different careers. Someone gets out of school at UT Austin, gets a PR gig. What does someone get paid for something like that?
I think my starting salary was like around 40.
Got it. But the big play in PR is you get to, for anyone interested in the industry, you're working like, again, at big music festivals, and you're working usually with like big celebrities or big businesses to promote their stuff. And where you can really make it big is if you go off on your own or you become a partner, right?
Right.
Okay. So then you leave the PR, you're out, you go to LA, dad's mad, professor's mad, company's mad, and you start on Big Brother. Now tell me a little bit about that journey, because one of the cool things, spoiler, is that Morgan won Big Brother. So tell me a little bit about that journey and what was like your biggest takeaway, and then I want to get into the money behind the prize.
Okay, yeah, the fun stuff. It was incredible. So my experience was a little different. I did it with my sister. So most people, you go in solo, you compete, all that fun stuff. Sometimes they'll do a sister twist, or like they'll bring in like a family member. So that was our surprise. I was unaware that she was going on. Everyone's like, you knew. I promise we did not know. So she ended up joining me, and we weren't that close before the show. We went on the show, and like being in that pressure cooker situation will bond you like no other. So that was like the most rewarding thing, is getting to do that experience with my sister. And she helped me. Like I was the girl on the show that cried all the time and all of that. So like having her there was like having a rock. And it was just such an interesting, unique experience. Like my parents have 2 daughters, no other kids. Both of them ended up on a reality TV show that you can watch together 24/7. So my mom did not turn off her TV. I think I was there 65 days. That TV stayed on for 65 days, 24 hours a day. Like she was watching our every move. So it was just such an interesting, unique, once in a lifetime experience. My obviously experience was great because I won. Like everyone's like, oh, like, did you enjoy it? My sister's like, it was okay. Like I made it halfway, and I'm like, I had a great time. I was
what place
fresh out of college and won.
And you just won. What place did your sister come in?
So she got halfway. So she made it to the halfway point.
6th or 7th or something, like, because there's 13, 15 contestants.
So she made it like 6th or 7th. It's funny because she was the super fan. So she's like the older sister, the kind of more responsible one.
Yeah.
She's watched every episode. She knew everything. I was
Wow.
like the young idiot 22-year-old whose sister told her to apply, and I somehow ended up winning. And she was like, really? Like,
What do you, what do you
you
attest
won?
it to though? Like, so she knows all this strategy and game theory. What do you attest? How did you win? How did you outgame everyone in that house?
So my strategy, you just have to be likable. And it sounds easy, right? Like just be likable. But when you're in that situation and you have 13 strangers of all different walks of life, all different personality types, like it's really easy to get annoyed. It's an easy to like roll your eyes. It's easy to get in fights. And my strategy was if you're likable, and like I'm a relatively likable person to anyone, like I'm
Mhm.
just easy to get along with. So I knew if I could just get people to like me, they're not going to vote me off. There's going to be someone else who pisses them off. They're always going to be a bigger target. So be the likable, lovable girl. Don't be too good. Like be good enough to where you're smart, but don't be too much of a threat. And then once I got to the end, that's when I was like, all right, you need to start winning. You got to kick it up a notch. That's when you can kind of be a little bit more threatening because you've already made it to the end. Whereas my sister, she came in like balls to the wall. She was like, she won the first competition. She was a super fan. She was gaming, making alliances. And I was like, no, like, guys, if you're going on Big Brother, just play dumb, like at least for the first 3 weeks, like just be a non-threat and you're going to make it to the end.
And so you make it to the end and it's between you and who was in second?
So it was Jason Roy, who was actually on a previous season. So he was like
Got
the
it.
veteran twist.
Okay, so he's a vet, you're with him. The winner gets, I think in this season it was 250K, right?
Correct.
250K, and the second place gets what?
They got, I want to say 25.
25. So that's a huge jump off, especially at 22, 250K versus 25K, all based on voting. Tell
Mhm.
me when you had the opportunity in the podium to sell everyone on why you should win, what selling tactics did you use that maybe someone listening can take away and use in their life in some capacity
Yeah.
to get everyone to vote for you?
So I think being humble, I think that that was the key is like not making it so much about you, like
Mhm.
me. Here's what I've done. Here's why you need to vote for me. In our season, the house was split into two. So it was one side versus the other, and it was very separated. Like you either liked one side or you liked this side, and there was no crossover. So when I did my speech, I knew I need to remind the fans of my alliance, everyone who left before me. So when they vote for me, my point was you're not just voting for me to win, you're voting for Shelby, Alex, Scott,
Mhm.
Monty, all of these people. Like I represent them. So by
Mhm.
you voting for me, it's not just a win for me, as much as I would love the money, it's a win for like all of my other people. So I think that was like a huge selling point. I also think being the underdog, like everyone loves an underdog situation. So like if you can ever use that to your advantage, like I don't know if that relates to like the work world, but if
It
you can,
does.
that's definitely helpful because people they want to see someone who has struggled. And like in my case, I was the only one left in my alliance, like alone with the other group who hated us. And I'm by myself. So to, kind of be like the last one standing, I obviously think that helped a lot too.
That's a
And I was
good.
likable.
Yeah, I mean, those are all like really, really good takeaways. If in any corporate environment or any work environment or relationship environment, those are brilliant. So you walk out, you win. So you're 22, you win 250K. Before I even ask you what you did with the money, are you guys paid? Did you get paid at all to go on the show? Do you get like a stipend or something?
Yes. So you get a stipend. You get, I want to say $1,000 a week for Big Brother. But
Okay.
the catch is if you win, you don't get your stipend, which I was like a little upset about. I was
Okay.
like, no, that was not told to me. I was thinking I was getting my $1,000 a week. And then the check on
Plus,
top, and they were like, no. If you make it to the end, we get rid of the stipend. So I
okay.
just got the
So
250.
you get the 250. Do they tax it immediately or do you have to deal with that?
Oh my God. Yes. It
And
is taxed. But what's crazy though is I assumed they would take care of the taxes, then they give you your cut. No, I literally got mailed in like a paper thin envelope, $250,000 to my house. I was like, wait, this is a lot of money to be dropped off in a mailbox somewhere, like casually. I just remember opening it, not really realizing, and I was like, holy shit, like I have $250,000 in my hand. And then it's up to you to like do the whole tax thing. And trust me, I like asked my dad, I was like,
Yeah.
Dad, are they going to notice if I don't pay my taxes on this? And he was like, shut up, go see your accountant right now. I was like, okay.
That's amazing. And did you buy something big, or did you do anything special with the money, or were you just like, you know what, this is a good start, I'll put it away and start savings? What was your plan with the money?
So luckily I have pretty great parents who are pretty wise.
Yeah.
And trust me, as a 22-year-old, I wanted a new car. I wanted to do all these crazy things. And my dad was like, give me the check. Give me the check, Morgan. Like, let's not do anything crazy. But I did. I took my family on vacation.
Cool.
I took them to Cabo. We did that. And then my main thing I did with like a chunk of it is I moved to California. So I was very fortunate when I did move to California, because I didn't really have a game plan when I moved out here. And a lot of people in LA, like, you grind, you work 3 jobs, you're hustling, all that. I was fortunate that I had a cushion from Big Brother to help me with the move, to give me a little bit of money to live off of so I could figure out the rest of my life. And then I put the rest all in. It's all tied up. Craig, my accountant, he's
got it all.
That unlock. He talks to me about stocks all the time. I'm like, yeah, do whatever, Craig. Just make me some money.
Okay, I love it. So when you get off the show, you got the $250K, your tax on it, life is good. Your decision to leave PR pays off big time. Now, at this point, what is your social media following like? Like, how did Big Brother help you grow your social media following?
So Big Brother, and people don't really realize this, it helped me a little bit, but not that much. So my season was like the fall kind of off-brand season. And people are always like, are you upset that like yours wasn't the normal summer season and people don't recognize you as much? And I'm like, honestly, no, because had I been on a summer season, I might not have won. Like, I don't know what that would have looked like.
Sure.
And I like where my life is now. Like, I feel everything worked out for a reason. But after Big Brother, I think I had 20,000 followers.
Okay.
So like,
so not enough to like change your life. You don't have enough followers to like change your life. So at any point, are you thinking maybe I might go back to the work world? Or are you thinking I have to keep this momentum rolling into something else? What's going through your career head?
So it was a stressful, probably 1.5 years in my life, because I knew I could not go back. I was like, you know what? I've been out of it enough. I cannot go back. I knew I had a degree to fall back on. And trust me, my parents love to remind me like, hey, there's always that 9-to-5 life. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. I can't. I know I can do something bigger. So for the first year, I was kind of living off some of my Big Brother money. I think I took a job at like the Soul Cycle, working at the front desk, just to get some other like pocket cash. And then I was trying to do TV hosting. So I was really set that like I was going to be on E! News. I was going to auditions. I was freelancing, all of that fun stuff, kind of just waiting for another opportunity. I was like, you know what? As long as I keep grinding, something will come from this. I don't know what it will be. And that's when I got a call from MTV.
And this was the show that you got called to go on. Again, I know you went on X's on the Beach and Challenge, but X's on the Beach was first, right?
Yes, correct.
So did you know that it was this, like, how do they position the show? I can't imagine that they're like, Morgan, we got this great show. You're going to go on the beach and then your ex are going to show up. Like, what do they tell you? Like, it's like an MTV dating show?
So they call it an untitled dating show. You don't know the network.
Got it.
You don't really know the premise, but you can kind of put 2 and 2 together. Like, all right, dating show. They mention a beach. They also ask you for a list of like every guy you've ever talked to ever, like not just dated, like who have you gone on a date with? Like who have you hooked up with once? Like,
oh my God.
I think I gave them like a list of like 25 dudes that like, I think some of them I went to go get breakfast with. At this point, I was just like,
you're like, yeah, I matched with him on Tinder. That works.
Yeah,
right?
take your pick from all of them. I had one long-term serious boyfriend in college, and I did not give them his name because he was the one person that like I cared about. And like, I was like, you know, I don't want like my actual ex showing up. Anyone else, like I had a fling with, sure. But yeah, I excluded him.
Got it. Okay. And so then you go on the show. Are you negotiating hard at this point to get like paid a certain amount to go on? Or are you more just like, shit, another show, like sign me up, I'm in?
So I was new to this whole one MTV world and two negotiation.
Yeah.
I was like so confused. They throw a lot of words at you. I wanted more money. Yeah, like everyone wants more money.
Of course.
But they kind of make it as like, well, we've got a lot of people to choose from. So like if you negotiate, like you're gonna get cut. And at this point, I was like, you know what? You just need to get in somewhere. You need to get your face out there, see where this leads, and then you can negotiate more. So like I think I agreed with like whatever. I think for X on the Beach, I got, oh my God, maybe like 3,000 a week. I don't even, I think it might have even been less than that. Like it was nothing substantial, probably even less than that. But like I was on the show with Farrah from Teen Mom, and she got 6 figures for showing up. Wow. So like it depends on who you are. Like I was a nobody from like no one really knew of me. And at this point, I was just like, you know what? Take it. Like, let's roll with it. Let's see where it goes. I knew I wasn't, as long as I could pay my rent, I did not care. Like,
you're good.
What I was going to make from it. I just,
and how long did, I was going to say, how long did you guys film for?
Oh my God. I think we filmed for 5 weeks. Like it was a long time.
Okay. When you said, it's so funny. Cause like when you said 5 weeks, I'm thinking that's The Bachelor where it was like 2.5, 3 months. I'm like, 5 weeks is not too bad, but I can imagine.
Like, 5 weeks. I could do Bachelor. You guys are normal, seem well adjusted. I think 5 weeks.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, probably. But like 5 weeks with like an MTV crowd.
It's a whole different ball game.
People were throwing drinks at walls. People were punching people. People were assaulting producers. Like, I was like, where am I? Like, I am too nice and normal Texas girl for this. I'm like, I don't know what I signed up for, but we're going to roll with it.
I have a buddy who was on the same season I was from The Bachelorette. And then he went on an MTV show, and night one, he's like, oh shit, this is no ABC The Bachelorette. This shit is nuts.
It is gnarly. Like it takes a special, I always say it takes a very special person to be able to handle MTV. And I realized like, I don't think that's me.
When you look back at your time on X on the Beach, would you have done it again, knowing what you know now?
You know what? My initial answer would be like, I absolutely would not do it again.
Sure.
But like when you really sit down and think about it, like it opened so many doors for me. Like I would not be sitting here talking to you right now. Mm-hmm. I would not be going to Coachella, working with like amazing brands had I not gone on that show, because then it led me to the challenge. Then it led me to like wherever else that did. So as much as I didn't love my experience, like I am thankful for it in a sense. I'll never do it again.
Yeah. All right, let's talk numbers. How did your social media following grow from after X on the Beach?
So that actually helped me out a lot. And I think that's what I'm thankful for. So I started at probably 20. I think I was 20,000. I was unverified at the time. Through X on the Beach, I ended up getting verified. And I think I hit around 150 from doing that show.
Okay. And so that also puts you in the MTV network, and the MTV network is what led you to the challenge. So how long after filming X on the Beach did you go on the challenge? What was the time gap?
3 days.
What?
Yeah. 3 days later, I left. So I went from filming 5 weeks of sleep deprivation, drinking copious amounts of alcohol, crying, screaming, like mental warfare. And then they're like, I got the call kind of halfway through X on the Beach, and they're like, all right, are you interested in the challenge? And I mean, full transparency, my main goal with going on X on the Beach was to try and get on the challenge.
Interesting. Like, okay.
I'm athletic. I'm fit. I'm competitive. Like that was my end goal. I was like, I know I'm going to do well if I go on the challenge. Like, come on. So that was my goal. And so when they approached me and I was like, oh my God, yes, absolutely. I don't care how long I have in between, like I will go. I did not realize by the time I left, I had 24 hours to go get new stuff, wash my clothes, unpack, repack, get my shots, go see the doctor. Like I'll call my parents and tell them I'm alive.
At this point, Dad's just like, what the fuck, Morgan?
Yeah, my dad's like, you are a lost cause at this point.
I quit.
Like, we give up on you.
I need 3 more vacations from your winnings on Big Brother.
My poor father. He has been through the ringer with me. But yeah, and then I told him, I was like, hey, tomorrow I'm going to Africa. And they're like, what? I was like, yeah, I'm going to go film another show. And they're like, okay. So I
Unbelievable.
left.
So you go on 3 days. That is absolutely nuts. So you go 3 days and you go on the challenge.
Yep.
You got a little leverage. Okay. Now you got Big Brother under your belt. You got MTV X on the beach. Did you negotiate this time or you're like, fuck it, let's just do it?
So with the challenge, I will say it is harder to negotiate because they have like payment tiers. So when you're first starting off, everyone, from my understanding, I could be incorrect, but from my understanding, you all get paid the same. You're all a rookie, you're year one. Then when you get like 3 years in, like you're like 3 to 5, you're in a different payment tier. You get paid more. Then people like CT, like the West, the big names, like they get paid, oh my God, 6 figures for walking in the door. Like it's absurd. So at that point, I just wanted to get on. Like there was no negotiations. I signed the contract. I said, all right, give me a shot, fly me to Africa, like let's go. So yeah, it was probably about the same amount of money I made for going on X on the Beach weekly.
So like 3K a week or something.
Yeah, about that. And I think
And how long you film for?
I mean, that one films probably 2 months. I was only there 2 weeks. It was a short-lived.
Shoot.
I didn't do as well as I thought. I did not pick a great partner.
Yep.
I thought by picking the partner I picked, I was going to go to the end. I was banking on winning. I was like, I'm going to the end with this guy. He's won more than anyone. And it turns out everyone in the house hated him. And we got voted out very quickly.
And so, okay, so you get voted off quickly, 2 weeks into it. What does the winner of the challenge get? How much?
It depends on the season. So with the challenge, they do it differently. Sometimes you win with a partner and they split the cost. Sometimes it's one winner. Sometimes it's 3 winners. I think on my season, gosh, I didn't, full transparency, I didn't even watch my season.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, can't watch that. I think the first place winner won set, like they all split $1 million. I want to say he got 750,000. I could be wrong.
Gotcha.
But like last season or a couple seasons ago, like there was a girl and a guy winner. They each split the $1 million. So it's always like $1 million split between X amount of people.
Okay. And your partner on the challenge, that was Johnny, right?
Yes.
Correct. Gotcha. And so part of your strategy was, this guy's a veteran. I'll partner up with Johnny and we'll get to the end.
Yes. I was like, he's won more than anyone. You guys are stupid for not. But me, I had 5 weeks on X on the Beach. I didn't have time to do homework. I didn't have time to watch past seasons. And like, I had never watched the challenge in my life. I just knew I wanted to compete on it.
But that paid off for you with Big Brother. So you would think like maybe going in blind is actually, like, ignorance is bliss in these situations, just being you.
It turned out it wasn't.
Now so you get off the show. And I know a guy like Johnny, he's been on like how many, like 8,455 challenge seasons. Like he's been on like forever. Did you ever think that you could be one of these challenge people that like, this will be your career? You'll be on challenge every year.
I will say I never thought this was going to be my career. I was hoping maybe a couple seasons, make a name. I mean, again, full transparency over here. Like I was just I wanted to compete, but more than that, I wanted to build a brand and I wanted to build that following. Like I'll never forget. I was trying to reach out to Lori KPR, and I wanted to work with her because I had seen so many big names that I looked up to work with her for like brand deals. So after Big Brother, I reached out and she turned me down. She was like, I literally won't work with you until you reach a certain amount of followers. And that lit such a fire under my ass. And I was like, all right, okay, you're going to challenge me, Lori K? Like, all right, I'm going to get there. And the second I reached the number of followers she told me I needed, I contacted her and she was like, okay, I'll work with you now. Like, I'll start pitching you. So I kind of knew with the challenge, it would be beneficial to, like exposure. That's great. So I was like, okay, a couple years, I like to compete. A couple years will get me the following. And then I kind of realized after doing the challenge, it might not be for me. Everyone's like, are you going to go back? And I'm always like, I don't know if I'm done with reality TV for good. I like to say I am, but like, who knows? But for now, I like where I'm at.
And so what year was it that the challenge ended? How long ago was that?
That was 2018. So
2018. Okay. So it's been about 4 years since you've been on a show and your interest levels, like might do it.
I think it depends on the show. I think it depends on the money at this point. And it would have to be something I'm very passionate about. Because like I said, you're taking a gamble with going on TV. You don't know how they're going to edit you. You don't know what's going to happen. And at this point, I'm doing good. Like I love my fitness business. I love helping people. I've got such a solid brand. I'm working with dream partnerships that I never thought I'd get to work with. So I'm like, why leave something good? It would depend. I'm always like, if Amazing Race called, I would drop everything and leave tomorrow. Like that's a big for me. Who doesn't want to travel the world in like a month? So, and it just depends. So, but right now I'm pretty comfortable doing what I'm doing.
Cool. I love it. And of X's on the Beach, MTV The Challenge, or of course you end up in a relationship with Johnny, which is a big MTV relationship, and I know it didn't work out. I'm sorry for that. But
Okay.
Of those three things, what grew your following at the greatest rate?
Oh man. I mean, probably like I want to lie. I really want to lie right now too, but I'm not.
You don't seem like a liar.
I'm not a liar. I'm always trying to be transparent, but I honestly think my relationship probably it grew it fast because people are interested. They want to see, two people from their favorite show together. So that, and like we traveled all the time. Like who doesn't want to watch that adventure unfold and go from being partners to being in a relationship and like getting to watch all of that. So I would say like that definitely skyrocketed a lot of things. Wish it would have ended a little differently, but again, like everything happens for a reason. And, my biggest fear was when my relationship ended, would the following from that go away? Like, I remember like breaking down and like calling my manager and I was like, I'm so scared. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I can't stay here, but if I leave, do I lose my brand? Like, do I lose my livelihood? Am I going to be able to pay rent? And it's like, no, the people, they do like you for you. And yeah, like I've lost some MTV followers, but like, you know what? So be it. I still am making more money than I was last year. So I'm okay.
Gotcha. Take the good with the bad. I mean, that's just part of the wild west that we live in. And that was actually going to be one of my questions. My follow up was going to be like, obviously there was a business opportunity there, but was business really, did it hurt at all? So obviously you saw a little bit of a following drop, but did your brand deals or anything like that diminish at all after the breakup or no?
No. In fact, I feel like it humanized me a little bit more. And that's what I've learned with social media, especially influencers. Like people want to relate to you. They don't want to see you being perfect all the time. They don't want to see you like glam, like on private jets. Like, yeah, that's fun sometimes, but they want to they want to see you crying. They want to see you going through life like just like they are. And unfortunately, and kind of fortunately, like my breakup was so public. And I was like, all right, you've got two options. You can either pretend everything's okay and like try and go that way, or you can just be a human and be like, yo, here's what's happening. You guys can follow me through it, or you cannot. Like, it's up to you. But the amount of support I got through that was shocking. Like I was mind blown. And yeah, like I lost some of the MTV people and they're not interested in me slinging ads anymore. Cool. So be it. But like the majority of the people have been like, thank you. Like you've helped me through my breakup. You've helped me get out of a bad situation. So like the silver lining for all of it was like, yeah, like, okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, I had 300,000 people watching that happen, but I've been able to make so many more connections with women all over the world that like, I still get reached out to saying thank you. So like, it's been kind of a blessing in a weird way.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, I totally agree. I mean, you said it even early on in your Big Brother days of like how you were able to have success. And it was like being open, being vulnerable, just being real. And sometimes, when you're feeling hurt and being the underdog, like people get it. They've been there. So, I mean, that all connects perfectly. One question I get asked a lot, someone who's very much involved in the same world as you, is, are you worried about like 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now? What is like your plan with that? How do you think about it? And so I'm curious with someone like yourself, who now you're 4 years removed from the show, and obviously you've built your own brands and things are going good, but what would because I have to deal with those questions all the time. But I'm curious what your answer would be, like the 2 year, 5 year, 10 year, 20 year outlook. What are some of your concerns? What are some of your, kind of like motivations, and what are some of your like securities?
Right. I mean, trust me, I get asked this question all the time. People are like,
Yeah.
so what are you going to do when you're not an influencer anymore? I'm like, excuse me, I would like to do this as long as I can. But I am aware, like Instagram could go away tomorrow. TikTok could go away tomorrow. Like we don't know when these apps are going to die out.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important to me to have backup plans. And I mean, people think I'm crazy for the amount of stuff I do. And like, I'm all over the place. Like I have a book club. I've got my travel blog. I've got Move Like Morgan. I've teach workout classes. I do on-demand workouts. I'm now doing Miles with Morgan where I'm like traveling with people. It's just so important for me to build a brand beyond just Instagram.
Yeah.
I think that's the mistake a lot of influencers make is they put all their eggs in that basket. And like, yeah, you're making a ton of money off that. Cool. And yeah, it takes you 60 seconds to film an ad and you make 20 grand. That's amazing. But if that goes away, what are you going to do? Like you have to have a backup plan. So like my 2-year plan, I'm hoping I'm still doing this. I would love for Instagram to still be around. I would love to eventually get married. And I'm always like, I would be a kick-ass mommy blogger. Like give me a kid, like, let's do it. Like I would be so good at that. But you know, I got to get a boyfriend first for that one. So like, we're going to worry about that later. But eventually, like I'm about to launch a fitness app. So my Move Like Morgan will now go via an app. So I'm hoping that will take off a little bit more because ideally, like I would love to do Instagram on the side, like if I want, and then have my fitness business and my brand to really fall back on.
Amazing. And do you have an idea when the app might launch?
I'm hoping for sometime in May.
Okay.
So stay tuned. I just talked to them about the design and all that, but you'll be able to download it from the App Store. I'll be doing all my on-demand workouts, challenges, stuff like that. You'll be able to interact with me, all that jazz.
Cool. And what were they search in the App Store to find it?
Move Like Morgan. Simple and easy.
Like Morgan. I love it. All right. Well, we'll have to wrap up here with your trading secret. One thing I got to say is if the book club, you guys need someone to come in, I'd be happy to present my book. You let me know. That would be cool. Yes. It just dropped in April. Give me a shout. And the last question I have for you, though, before we go into your trading secret. So trading secret would be about money management or a money loss or career management. Any tip that someone could get from Morgan that they could not get in a classroom textbook or Google. So we'll get to that in a second. But before I do, one thing you've mentioned a couple times, I've heard the word manager, heard you talk about Lori Kay, who I know, work with Lori. She's great. I thought you've said the word Courtney. So tell for people that don't know much about that world, how do you open kind of the vault a little bit? How do you work with managers? Are you exclusive? Do you take deals from everyone? What's your like business strategic approach with it?
Right. So some managers make you be exclusive, some do not. Right now, I am not exclusive with anyone. So I can take deals. I can work with whoever. So I used to work with Lori. Then I started working with Courtney. So like now I kind of get the best of both worlds. They also sometimes work together. I'm very, very blessed to have the team that I do. Like I could not do it without people. I tried in the beginning to do my brand deals myself. I always recommend that someone get a manager. There's so many different influencer partnerships, different managers. Like there's a wealth of not just Google it, do something, but it's just so much easier than trying to handle contracts for yourself. And it's also just nice to have someone negotiate for you because when you're on your own, I do feel like you get cheated out of a lot of money. They're like, oh, well, like you're an influencer, you're going to take whatever, like, let me lowball you. Whereas if you have a respected manager, they can be like, no, this is what my client is worth. This is what you're going to pay her. And if you don't, then we're leaving. So like, it works out. What I have found is like, you get paid a little bit more. They organize it. I'm also just like way too busy to figure out anything on my own. I used to do all my outreach, like kind of myself and like reach out to brands that I like and all that. And now it's like, they get presented to me and like, I get pitched to them. So it's just much easier.
And everything you just said, I completely agree with. One of the things that I've done is to kind of make this world last longer is I learned what you learned. I was like, wait a second, I'm getting different rates from different people and I'm trying to understand the business side of it. You know, I was a banker for 10 years. I got my MBA. I'm like, I could figure this out. Slowly kind of figured it out, was doing outreach myself, then brought a business development guy on board who I'm really good buddies with. And then I invested in the agency. He operates on a day-to-day basis. I have 50% ownership in it. And so we're doing in 13 minutes, we have a call with I can't say that individual's name, but an influencer to try and bring them on board. So Morgan, if you're up for it, we might have to send you a deal or two. I'll have
Hey,
to tell him that Morgan's in the game for business and to start pitching her.
Hit me up. Hey, I'm really good at selling. People trust me.
I love it. I love it. Well, you have sold your story. It has been such a cool story. I love the 14 days in PR in the exit.
And I'm out.
That's unbelievable. Tell us a trading secret someone couldn't read on any of these articles about Morgan or find on Google or see in your page, a trading secret about career management, money management, something that you could leave our listeners with.
My biggest tip, and this is going to sound so like broad, but like you have to stay organized and you have to take it into your own hands. I feel like the reason I've been so successful is because I do it all myself. I don't let an assistant answer my DMs. I don't let anyone touch my social media. I do all my editing. I do all my, like, I feel like when you get bigger and like a lot of influencers like, oh, I can have someone else do it for me. Like someone can edit it. Someone can do this. Someone can post for me. And it's like, no, I will forever do everything myself. I'm very hands-on. I think the more hands-on you can be, the more successful you're going to be. So like stay organized. I have a content calendar, like do it all, do the hard work yourself and it's gonna pay off. So like I've got a Google spreadsheet. I know exactly when I'm posting things. I know exactly like the stories I'm going to post for the week. I know like, oh, I want to try this. I want to try this. Like, here's what my feed's going to look for the whole entire week. Here's the follow-ups. Like, here's my analytics. Like all of that is done by me, which a lot of people don't believe. And I'm like, no. Like there's a reason my screen time is 12 hours a day. Like there's a reason, like it's all me. So I think that's my biggest tip is if you want the success, you've got to do it yourself. It's not going to be handed to you and you can't depend on anyone else to get you like where you want to be.
I love that. And I think part of that is so relatable and part of it is so far-fetched, but I want to touch the far-fetched thing because people will listen. People are going to listen to this and say, Morgan and Jason, you guys got struck by luck lightning, right? Mm-hmm. You got asked to go on a show and then you're now an influencer doing all X, Y, and Z. But I want to challenge that. And going back to your point, Morgan, is you have to put yourselves in position to get lucky, right? So if you want to be lucky, you have to put yourself in a position to get lucky, which obviously you did. Took chops to break what I call the blueprint against what your professor said, what your boss said, what your parents said, to go do it your way and no one else's way. The other thing is people get struck by lightning and people listening, you're going to get an opportunity. Something will come up if you put yourself out there. A lot of people will get that and things fall. They don't take advantage of it. And the thing is once you get that opportunity, you have to go out there and do it for yourself and make it for yourself and do your content calendar and go ask for deals and go knock on Lori's desk and go knock on Courtney's desk. Like if no one is going to do it for you. And the reason that you're having such success with everything that you're doing 4 years after being on a show is because you've done it. And I think that's exactly the point to anybody that's thinking, well, you got struck with the lightning luck. Guess what? 4 years later, it's still moving in a trajectory that is extremely opportunistic. So I love the trading secret. Love what you're doing. Congrats on everything. And for anyone that wants to follow, I know you don't have a mommy blog yet, but I believe you do have a blog. You have an app. You have a bunch of stuff. Tell people where they can get everything that Morgan's got going on.
Okay. So my website where you can find basically everything is movelikemorgan.com. That's where I've got my blog, my on-demand workouts, all of my social media. But if you just feel like following me on Instagram and you just want some awesome deals and discount codes, it's at Morgan Lee, Leigh Willet.
I love it. And those discount codes are real. My mom will call me and be like, hey, like, I know you did this like 2 months ago, but I'm buying it now. Like I need that code. So go to Morgan, check it out.
They work. They're good discounts.
Yes. And they don't come all the time, honestly. They'll do what these brands will do is they'll do waves where like maybe revenue's down or they got marketing budget approval. They'll do like 1 quarter, blitz it, and then they go back to their pricing. So definitely take advantage of that stuff.
Exactly.
But Morgan, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Trading Secrets. We so appreciate your time.
Thank you.